We are going to make a tie slide for a neckerchief using craft lace, or in this case, Rexlace is a brand that works particularly well. You can do it in any colors. 2 colors are recommended. I'm going to use the Cub Scout colors of blue and yellow. You need 2 pieces that are 3 feet long. And when I cut them, because it's going to help me later, I cut them at an angle so that they have a little bit of a point. That's going to help us thread it at the very end step. And then the first step that we're going to do is find the middle of each lace. So if you take a piece of lace that's 3 feet long and you grab the 2 ends like this, go like that, you'll have the middle. Do that the same on this one. Find the middle of each of them and then make an X like this and set that X down on the table and put your finger over the X. We're going to take our either color really. I'm going to take the blue, it doesn't matter. The top or the bottom, just take one, cross it, cross your finger in both directions like this. So that you have a loop, really 2 loops, one going in either direction. I'm going to hold it with this, and I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to weave it. I'm going to weave it going, see how this is the long one? I'm going to go over the long one and through the loop. So the loop is in the back, right? So over the long one and under the loop. We'll pull that through. Not super tight yet. And then I'm going to take the other side and over the long one, under the loop. So it is the opposite. Mirroring. And I'm going to pull all of those forward a little bit. Grab it with, keep my finger there for a minute until I tighten these a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take my finger out and then gently pulling all these together. And this is the tough part here. Pull. I'm going to grab these 2 and these 2 so I can pull all at the same time and make this square. See if I see those 4 squares? That is the beginning, the base of our square stitch or box stitch. Now, this one time only, we're going to flip it over. And I'm going to do this again. I'm going to take, in this case, since I'm doing my blue, I'm going to go my blue over 2 loops, just like I did before. Here's my 2 loops. And I'm going to take my yellow and go over the long one and through the loop. So over and under, the loop being the back part. See what has the long tail, I'm going to go over. Now if you missed any of this, just pause, rewind, watch it again. Over and under. Okay, and I pull all those together and you'll see this same stitch is going to form. And now I'm not going to flip it over anymore. Just that one time did I flip it over. See, there's that nice stitch. Pull it, don't pull it, have to pull it real tight. Just kind of pull it nice and gentle. In fact, if you pull it really tight, parts of this become harder to do later. So I'll continue this here, here, make 2 little loops. And now really thinking about keeping things straight. Because what we're doing is we're weaving back and forth and back and forth. So I'm going to take this one, and since it is on the back side, it's going to go over, under. There's the thing with the long tail, there's the loop. Don't pull it real tight until I get the other one in, or else it's just going to slide around. Take this one, which is here on the front side. So I'm going to keep it on the front side, over and under. So that is a weave. Pull all these together. You might have somebody help you. If you can't pull all these together, you can have somebody hold 2 and you pull the other 2. And then I just keep repeating where I make my 2 loops, in this case with my blue one. And then I weave it over and under, over, under. I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to do this about 22 times. And when you do it, something to be aware of, you can see how mine are looking. They're not perfect, it's okay. Whatever you do will be great. It'll be something you did. When you do this, you do want to keep them flat. As I go this way and that way, I've got it flat. I don't have a twist in it. Sometimes a twist will develop, especially when you're doing this part, when you bring it through. And I bring this one through here, over and under. And you won't see the twist at first. Let's see, I'll see if I can force a twist into this one. You'll see it as you, well, I didn't get it here, but because this Rexlace is pretty good, but if you get a twist like this, as you bring it in, you'll look at it and there'll be this extra twist in it. And basically, if there's a twist in it, just work it through, untwist it, and lay it flat. If you have a twist in there, it's okay, but ideally, you want them untwisted, and then you'll get this nice pattern on all the sides. Just keep kind of pulling that, hold it, and then you do the next one. As this gets longer, we start to form this square. I find it easier to bring it along like this, hold it on each side, and then bring through my thread, go over the close one, under the back one, keeping whatever's on the back, whatever's in the front, over and under. And if you can't pull this, if that's a little tough, what you can do is just hang on to the middle. Well, once you get them close, there, you can get them close. You can hang on to the middle with your fingers and then go around and pull them one by one by one. Check it out. Make sure you get that nice little weave, right? And then proceed. Keep doing this. Like I said, till you have about 22 or so stitches, and the length is 2.75 inches. When it's 2.75 inches, you're at a good length to make a neckerchief slide. If you go a little longer than that, it's going to be a little bit big. I have continued to weave all of this through, and I have a nice box stitch. And it's useful to stop and look at this. So as you're weaving, you understand what you're doing. It's best seen here when you look at the yellow. See how those yellow lace just weaves back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, winding up the whole side. That is what you're doing when you're creating that weave. You have one lace that winds up here, and a second lace that winds up this side, and then the blue as well. It's easiest to see here on the yellow. Other thing to note, at the bottom of this, I have this square. It's a little offset, but I have that same 4 weave square, and that's because we did the first square stitch, box stitch, and then we flipped it over and continued doing this. So you want to do that first one, flip it over just once, and then continue. That's what we'll use here at the end when we close it up. So let's make this nice and tight. Also make a note that if you make a mistake, you can always undo a particular stitch, go back, and then redo it. And if they're not all perfectly even, that doesn't matter as well, right? It's handmade. I hear you're making an artistic decision. We're going to make this into a loop, and we can either bend it this way so that the yellow is on the outside and the blue is on the top and the bottom, or we can bend it this way so that the blue is on the outside and the yellow is on the top and the bottom. That's sort of what I like, so I'm going to do it that way. Now, we have done this 22 stitches approximately. In this case, I had about 24 stitches. It's going to depend on how tight you make your stitches. The key is that you're going to do this so that it is 2.75. So this is 2.5. That run right there is a 2.75. So I line this up, and yeah, it's right at just over 2.75 in this case. So right around 2.75. If anything, can be a little bit short. Now I did actually put in, I'm going to have to take one of these stitches out here, and I'll show you why, because this is something you're going to have to check. So you bend it in half, make it a loop. You might need some adult fingers to help you get this around into a loop. And then I'm going to hold these two sides together and see how they match up. And right here, when they come together, if I square this up, I've got of blue and yellow touching. That's not what I want. I want blue and yellow touching. So I'm going to back off my last stitch. I'm going to remove my latest stitch. I bring this back one stitch. Now I repeat that same check where I bring it around and check. I now have blue and yellow touching. See those squares? When I bring those squares together, the yellow and the yellow are going to touch, the blue and the blue are going to touch. Yellow and yellow are touching. That's what I want for this stitch to close it. And this is where it's going to be important that your ends, or it's going to be easier if your ends are cut at an angle like that. So if I hold this together, see how this yellow one here at top, I'm going to continue our same stitch where I'm going to bring that through the back side of this blue one on this side. Take this around right here, put it right behind this stitch. Open this up so you can see what we're doing. And that slides right through. I'm not going to close it up all the way, just so you see what I did. Took that blue to blue, and I continued that back and forth weave. Do the same thing with this other yellow. Come in from the outside of this one, and push it through. It's getting caught a little bit there. I've got a little thing there. It's coming through. So that those two, so I've got a long one extending on both sides. That's continuing that same stitch. I'm going to do the same with the blue. Catch it, so this one's on the bottom here. So it is going to, or on, I guess it's on the top as I'm showing it right here. It's going to go through this spot right in here, and I can open it up, see what I'm doing. So in this case, it's going through the weave, and this other little tail is hanging through there. That's okay. Those tails are going to be in there. Now, if these become tough to do, there's a couple strategies you can't get it through. You can recut it so that you have a sharp tip. If your tip starts to become soft, sometimes you're not going to be able to feed it through. I'm having a little bit of trouble here. I'll keep working it. Pushing it through. The other thing you can do is use a paper clip or a safety pin to open this up and try to push it through. If it's too tight, if it's particularly tight. Am I getting it here? So close. Now it's starting to bend, so I'm going to try recutting this end. It's going to be a nice sharp end. This particular set of blue is a little bit soft. So I'm going to try again. Just going to, right, so I'm lining them up, saying, oh yeah, these are going to go through here. This third piece is going to hang through, and so it is the blue to blue hole. It's right in here. Blue is going to touch blue. Push that through. Yeah, I'm having a little trouble, so I'm going to also try my other technique, which is the paper clip technique or safety pin technique, to open up this, wiggle it around in there, make that hole a little bigger. Now see if I can slide this through, going from the outside to the inside. There it comes through, a little persistence, and that came through. Then I've got the last one here, so I think through this one has not come through a loop. So if I close these up, you'll see, oh yeah, that's going to come through on right up here. It's a little bit hard to see. I because this yellow one got folded around a little bit awkward. If I bring this, it's going to follow this blue one underneath this yellow one right in here. You can open these up if you need to work yours through. This one, I am going to use this paper clipping technique again, part just to get this folded up. And again, this might be where you need a little adult help to close it up. So I'm going to wiggle that through so I can get this underneath. Okay. Now I've got all 4 woven through, and I'm going to just slowly close these up. As I'm closing up, I'm checking to make sure that none of these are interwoven here. I'll make a mistake here so you can see what I mean. As I bring these through, see how this one, this tail is sitting very nicely here where it's coming straight out. This one's bent around, so it's not coming through the loop. I'm going to pull that through so that as I tighten this, it comes straight out. You'll see here if I pull, let's see. This one, this blue one here, it's caught underneath here. I want it to stick it out so that it is coming straight out of the ends here. This one's coming straight out. This one's coming straight out. Oh, and this other one here is sort of stuck. I just need to pull it over here a little bit on this side so that as I pull them through, you'll see this will close up. And in a minute here, it's going to look exactly like all of our other weaves. See, as we bring it in, it looks just like all of our other pieces. And now you can pull it tight, really close those up so that you won't even really be able to tell it's a seam. See how all those look very uniform, just like the ones on either side of it? And oh, this one's coming out kind of on the wrong side, but it'll be okay. So I should have ones coming out of 4 sides. For some reason, this one didn't quite get it folded in quite right. So it's coming out of the same spot. And that's okay. It'll hold because I'm going to take these and trim them off. You could leave them and put some beads on them or leave 2 of them, be creative. I'm just going to trim them close. And you can use an adult helper here. Go through on these 4 sides. Trim off all your tails wherever they might be. And you can see I've got little bits hanging here. But that's fine. I can sort of push them in. If I give it a little wiggle, they're just going to really disappear into it. Not even going to notice them. There is my tie slide. Got blue on the outside, yellow on the top and bottom. Look at my size to give you a sense here. This one's, that's about 1 1/4 inches on the outside diameter. Inside diameter is about 3/4 of an inch. That's going to work really nicely on my neckerchiefs.